All right, so this one looks like it might be working. So let's go back. All right, so if I go back to live, if I go
Oh,
to,
4 waiting now.
okay, great. Well, let's hopefully see if, okay, so there's a new show thing. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do share, I'm gonna do copy link, then I'm gonna go back to the other one, and I'm gonna post the link. Okay, now this looks like the new one. Huh. No, that looks like even a previous, no, that looks like one that was discarded. Okay, so let me go ahead and go back. Let's go to this one. Okay, and then what I'll do is I'll do post again, paste. All right, so now we go post to the new link. Then we will see if it's actually recording or if
Oh,
it's
somebody
streaming.
just dropped out.
Yeah, it looks like, um, oh look, we're live on this one. Okay.
Yeah, but now there's only 2 people waiting.
Yeah, but the people will come over from the first one.
Okay.
All right, we'll just give them a second.
You
I have,
did it.
yeah. Now the
Except for
only
now, our
problem is
videos
I
are
don't know if the
swapped.
volume is working. That'll be interesting to see. It should, but let me turn it up just to see. It's working.
Yay.
Okay, great. We'll give people a few minutes. And I think I posted the link on the other one. Did you see
Yeah, it's
see the link we
posted.
posted? And then did you click on,
I
go ahead and click on the link so you can come to the
I
new
was
one.
afraid to click on it on the same device in case it made
Yeah,
like
yeah. Well, you can also guide people over. If anybody, well, if you see it when you could just look around and see if anybody's popping on and going, hey, go
I
to the
just
new
exit
link.
out. Hold on.
Okay.
Maybe you can ask them to say something when they see that we're actually on the other link.
Yeah. Well, it'll show up as more people watching because right now it says one watching, and that's me. It's like I'm watching myself. I'm so excited.
I know it's funny.
No, I mean this. We're just having fun. All right. Yeah. So we got another person on.
Okay, good.
Hey, go ahead and introduce yourself. This is a very cozy event. If you're tuning into the show, um, say whether you're a friend of Fallon or you're a subscriber to my channel. We're just getting people migrated over from the other channel, or I'm sorry, from the other video that Riverside created, but it didn't come to be. So I guess let's go ahead and start talking, and we'll see how things go. All right, so I have with me today Fallon Taylor. She is a singer, composer, spirit channeler, artist extraordinaire, and we're going to ask her about her her experiences in both the physical and non-physical domains. So you mentioned, Fallon, before we started that you started in music really young. So tell me, how did it all begin there?
I wanted to play the flute at a very young age. Unfortunately, I wasn't large enough to play. And but when I before I got to that point, I was reviewing music books and just I was more of like an internal composer rather than writing things out, which I did do later. But I just would hear a song in my head, and then it's like I was doing a cover at age 5 or 6 or 7 or whatever age I was. And then, so once I did get the flute, I was able to. I think I was 8. Yeah, I was 8. Oh, that fits today. 8, 8. And I there was a prompt, write your own music. So it was all the way at the back of the book because I went
Mhm.
way ahead of everybody, right? And so I just started doing that, and then I picked out a keyboard that I had when I was younger, and I just start playing it on the keyboard, playing it on the flute, humming it, singing it, and that was just kind of like the very beginning. It went quite a ways from there.
Did you learn how to read music that early on, or was the notes in like a friendly kid notation?
No, it was not a friendly kid mutation.
Okay.
I'm saying notation. I picked it up pretty easily.
Hmm.
It wasn't too difficult because it was like ABCD. It was like learning your
Yeah.
ABCs of music rather than
Right.
the alphabet.
Do you think that you might have had the advantage of like past life experience with music, such that
Yeah.
yeah, like you didn't have to learn from scratch. You just had to learn the
No, it's just like
conventions.
picking up a template, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a like the staff is a language, but the notes, the melodies are like things that are like yeah that are just part of our. Now, what's interesting is that there's different scales. So on a different planet, for example, there might be it might be a different scale than on you know that
Yeah.
might not be a 12 tone scale kind of thing, right?
Yeah, well, the thing is that there's semitones, so you could virtually make up any scale because there's infinite amount of note between what we
Right.
know as the standardized keys.
Yeah. So, okay, so did you do any did you do any not professional, um like school based or band or anything like that?
Yeah, yeah. I started in elementary school. There were no other flutes, so I was at a bit of a disadvantage going into
Hmm.
middle school. I quickly picked up the pace, and by the time I was in like high school, I was section leader. So yeah, and
Whoa.
then that.
My trajectory was I might have started high up and went really far down. I was a violinist. I started violin when I was what is it about like about 6 or 7, and yeah, by middle school I was like in the very back of the uh, of the chairs. So much so that I decided that I needed to increase my rank in life, so I switched to viola. So then I was only like third chair viola.
Well, that's pretty good, right? I mean, but viola is like a harder instrument to play because you have to
It's a little
harmonize
bit
more than
larger.
playing the melody. So it's its own
Right,
thing.
you're playing more of the harmonies. And
Yeah.
also you have to learn a new clef. That's like, yeah, that's just not as common. So you have to reprogram your brain. Although when I read music, I never would translate it to the letter. I would just learn to translate it directly to my finger on the string. Like I didn't have that in between. I don't know if you kind of worked it out in your head and said, okay, that's an A, press an A kind of thing. How did it work for
Well,
you?
with flute, you have to learn very specific keys. There's no this is close to that, except for a trick I do is it's like a roll where you go through those in between notes, and it can change the note by like a half step, but not by a whole lot. But I did learn violin. I taught myself violin and viola for this album by ear because it was no help learning it out of a book with a bunch of notes for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I, the every instrument, it's not just learning the notes, but it's also learning how to get the notes out so they don't sound absolutely horrible. Like with violin, it's learning the ability to to get the bow to go across smoothly so that it doesn't scratch and go all over the place. And I
Hmm.
imagine with instruments where you're using your breathing, it can sound really strange if you just, yeah, if you don't have the right breathing techniques.
Well, that's something you have to learn at a young age. Like, it took me a while to realize I wasn't actually playing the high notes because I was trying to blow in air into it the same way as you would the regular scale. And then when I finally did, then
Hmm.
everybody was like, "Oh my God, that girl can play," you know? So
Yeah.
it all depends on how, where your mouth is positioned on the opening, how fast the air is. There's a lot of variables that easily turn into calculus, right?
Yeah, but it's also you're just listening and you're going, okay, that sounds nice or that doesn't sound so nice. So it's like, so you keep practicing it over and over again until it sounds pleasant. Yeah. It it was definitely a challenge. I mean, and also when you're a kid, like you were saying, you're too small for the instrument, and then
Yeah.
as you get, as your arms grow, and everything, it's like you're adjusting as your body is changing.
Yeah, and the flute was literally the only instrument that I could play. I wanted to do piccolo, but I couldn't do that right away because they're like, "No, you got to do this first." Nobody, blah blah blah. Anyways, that's
Yeah.
that's how they are. But it's more difficult than playing the flute if you haven't had your muscles in your mouth develop properly. But yeah, I just like the instruments that like pack a punch.
Okay, so here's a question. So, um, you know, you were in high school. You played instrument. I don't. When you're in that formal mode where you're performing other people's music, were you making your own music during that time, or did that come later, or did that return when you had more free time to to
I
to focus on that?
Yeah, I was doing it during that. I was composing like what they call modern classical back then, and my styles had its own ascension, so to speak, since then. But yeah, no, I would play whatever I was given, but I made sure I styled it in a way that felt relevant to myself.
Yeah, you're reminding me of Lisa Simpson. And every intro to The Simpsons, she goes out the door playing the saxophone like in her own style, rather than playing what's on the music, and they kick her out.
Well, well, no,
Yeah,
I meant like the phrasing where you're
yeah, yeah,
playing
yeah, yeah.
what's there, but
You're right,
you're
right.
putting your own riffs and stuff, so to speak,
Yeah, that would
sneaking
have
them
been
in
funny.
and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So, um, so when, so did I don't know, did you perform any after high school, or was that kind of like the end of the formal music road?
Yeah, that was the end of the formal music. I went into a lot of developing my style, working more on my vocals, focusing on songwriting, and the flute kind of took a back seat to that. And I'm still working on a flute album, but like that's not my priority.
Hmm. Now, when it comes to voice, this is interesting. I found that it took me years of diligent work to get from sounding like total garbage almost to something that when I could listen to it in a recording, like it didn't make me cringe. Did you find that it took a while to kind of get your voice to where you enjoyed it, or you always enjoyed listening to yourself record?
No, my voice has always been there. It's just improved, and that my styling's improved. So, I know you told me before you were on your albums. It was more like instruments, guitar, and like that
Yeah.
was your home base. But for me, it's been more the voice.
So one thing about the voice for me is that when I come up with a melodic idea, it's easiest for me to convey it via my voice, right? Would you say that's where things begin is in your voice or in your
It's
mind,
a
but then in your voice?
It depends on what I'm working on. Like I literally I'll get a melody or a verse or whatever it is in my head, if with the lyrics at the same time, like a download. But
Mhm.
for instruments, I'll hear it like the instrument is actually playing the notes in my head. So it's like I hear whatever it sounds like, right? And
So,
then producing's just getting it there.
do you hear it while? So let's say you sing the first layer, which is your voice. While you're listening to that, you like hear what the instrument's going to sound like. Is that where you hear the instrument?
And all the effects and everything.
Yeah, yeah. It's all yeah. This almost gets into the spiritual aspect.
Yeah.
But and maybe we can mix and match here because
Yeah.
my audience. So one thing for me, and you can tell me, is that I would come up with musical ideas. Sometimes I picked up those music ideas from dreams. Sometimes I picked them up, or I just kind of came up with them whenever. But I found that when I would sing while I was in the spirit world, it was like there was an entire backup band playing behind me as I'm singing. And I'm just wondering if that's the phenomenon for you that when you're hearing you're beginning with a particular song, it's like automatically there's like a backup band, ready to go to.
Yeah, I wouldn't say backup vocalist, but sometimes it's just the lyrics and the vocals, but sometimes I'll hear it with the entire orchestration um, backing it up. And
Are you the kind of person that does lyrics first and then music, or you hear a melody and then you turn it into lyrics?
neither. I get them both together.
Wow. So likely what's happening is there's some songwriter in the spirit world that's trying to get their ideas. They're like you can use it. You can do whatever with it. You can become famous.
Yeah.
And they're like giving you almost like a finished, but it could be just with a finished comp. So would you say that in some ways there's almost like a finished composition just waiting within you, and it's just a matter of expressing it?
I don't know. It's more like depending on where I am in my life and what kind of events are going on, the energies, something will prompt it and then I'll get it. It's not always in one complete set, but sometimes, usually it'll start with the chorus and the hook and
Mhm.
then it's the whole thing. But I've had ones where, like, Rise from the Ashes, from the Ashes was
Mhm.
all one time, all in a complete sitting. Like I'm just standing there, all of a sudden I get this whole song in my head.
So for me, it was confusing when I would hear a particular melody, lyric thing that I had developed, let's say, when I was in grad school. And then when I heard it in the dream state, it was like this fully produced piece of music. And for years, I thought that what was happening was I was hearing the future, and therefore it was my responsibility to make sure that song became fully produced in the future so that it could exist in my dream. But then I learned later on that it's almost like there's an AI in the spirit world that will just take any musical idea and just like add all the instrumentation and orchestration. So I've learned that in some ways I was being teased into making the music, but it's almost like there's like I hate to say it, but a Suno like system in the spirit world just ready to take your ideas and fill them out. Do you get a sense of being within you or something outside of you? What's your sense?
I don't know if it's inside or outside. It feels like it's connected to some plane, but not disconnected from myself.
Mm.
It feels like a transcendent is usually how I get most of my ideas. It feels like how Einstein was like E equals mc squared. Oh, eureka! It's like that, except for instead of going oh eureka, I'm going oh transcendent.
So one thing that's fascinating that I kind of realized as I was going through my process was that even though, yes, I am a spiritual person and I give all these interviews and I talk about stuff, the truth is a lot of singer songwriter or a lot of songwriters get their music from the ether. They may not. They might get it from dreams. They might get it. They might just get an instant inspiration, and they don't even necessarily know where it's coming from. They don't have a a narrative of like, oh, this is coming from spirit or something, because maybe their belief system doesn't match with that. But I do feel like a lot of music is like inspired. Paul McCartney talks about it, with some of his songs he would get in a dream, even from his mother who had passed away, was like giving him melodies in his dream. Um, the guy from Coldplay, Chris Martin, he used to, I don't know if he does it anymore, but he used to almost a little bit abuse sleep medications so that he would fall asleep, and as he would fall asleep or wake up, he would like get melodies in his head and take inspiration from that. So it's not uncommon, I think, and I think that I you can also tell though, like when a song has been kind of composed by somebody just kind of diddling around on a piano, like it doesn't necessarily have like the same organicness to it. It sounds like somebody is just kind of goofing around on a piano, right? Whereas
Yeah.
when something just comes to you, it's like, yeah, it doesn't. It's not a string of notes anymore. It's something that it's like an instantaneous awareness. So so let's talk a little bit about your transcendence experiences. Like what got you into, like how did you get started with that? Did you just wake
I,
up one day and a spirit was talking to you, or were you interested in it?
no. It's like a plane. Like I'm trying to figure out how the best way to explain this. Like actually how the light is in here, but like you're
Mhm.
outside or you're on the beach or something, and then the light just kind of it feels like it's pulsating, it's vibrating. It doesn't just look static. It's similar to that, but I want to say it goes beyond. Kind of like the end of Lord of the Rings, how emotional that was,
Yeah.
especially the third movie when
Uh-huh.
it goes into Annie Lennox's Into the West. That
Hmm.
that characteristic, and then also Diana Ross, how she sings.
Hmm.
If we hold on together, that quality where it's almost echoing, which that's something my voice naturally does.
Hmm.
It's not like I'm putting tons of echo on all of the tracks, but that quality, wherever you have to go within yourself and without yourself to pull that quality, it's that's the best way I can explain it. There's no like easy answer.
So were you actively seeking out transcendent experiences, or did you kind of happen on it through the trying to make music?
Yeah, it's just how I heard music. It was like a shimmer. And then
Huh.
it turned into that more and more. And then the more I meditated, the more I channeled, the more I connected to things. That's when
Mhm.
I got it coming in stronger.
Which is stronger for you, when you make music or when you listen to music?
Never
Or
thought of
both?
that. I think it's not so much either. It's more like when I get it and I feel it in my head. That's
Hmm.
like where it's like initially coming in. I'm not going to say I don't have that response to other people's music because that wouldn't be accurate. But like that very first moment when I sense, because I can sense it when it's coming in, and then I
Uh-huh.
tune into it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, here's another song.
So it sounds to me like there's a little bit of like a portal type experience occurring here, where the music is inviting you into a state of mind. Would you say that you can achieve this state of mind? Well, obviously you can without music, but I guess maybe the music was kind of like the the training the training wheels to get you to figure out where to go and what to do?
I
Or
don't think it's training wheels because the way I understand it, the music,
Mhm.
music versus everything that there is, like not discounting people's beliefs, but the
Mm.
technical aspect of, I don't want to go into quantum mechanics or anything, but you know what I mean, like
Mhm.
figurative notes and strings and harmonics, and I feel like it's connecting into that and pulling it out into our frame of reference and our experience. I don't think it's like
Hmm.
training. I guess it could be for some people, but I think only get you back to where we came from.
By the way, you're more than welcome to bring out quantum mechanics. Remember, I have a PhD in quantum chemistry, so
No, I know you
if not
understand that.
here,
I just don't want to.
then you I guess you could talk.
Well, I don't want to
So
alienate the
oh,
viewers.
my crowd. Well, the title of my channel is Dr. Michael Lee, so they're already gonna have to listen to me talk about eating more fiber. No, I'm joking. Um, but no, but the doctor's, is my degree, my PhD. So, no, I know what you're saying. So I think I know what you're saying, but, I think for me, when I can get into a little bit of a transcendence with music, like if I'm listening to something and it's getting my heart chakra moving a little bit, like it helps a little. I feel like I have issues though with when I'm awake, like it's harder for me to have more intense experiences. Like you're not like me, where do you also have like dreams and astral travel and that kind of stuff too, or mostly? Yeah,
Yeah, it's just very infrequent.
yeah.
I don't know if you're stepping on the keys with your hands because I can't hear.
Oh, that's
Sorry,
weird.
that's why I flinched. I
Is that
heard some
maybe there's a
alien.
ghost cat? Um,
Oh, who knows, right? Uh, sorry, I forgot the question.
oh yeah. So I was asking if you were having experiences, while you're sleeping, yeah.
Yeah, so I do get astral experiences. Usually it's like where I'm crawling into walls and floors, like I'm newbie, and
Hmm.
so like I'll need somebody to like pull me out, or it's like swimming through.
Yeah.
I like the stuff in between the walls, and then I've had trips to other star systems.
Hmm.
Usually it winds up being the Pleiades, and they greet me there. But
Yeah.
I really haven't had too much of that. What I do have is lucid dreams pretty much every night, and I did start off with music like that in my 20s,
Hmm.
and like when I was doing more classical compositions, and then I would get something and write it out, and then it was just kind of like, you know, making more room in here, but that's not like really a big thing. Like I don't go to sleep and be like, let me pick up this, let me pick up that. But I did learn instruments before I got them doing it like that, because I know Paul McCartney, I believe he practiced, was it guitar or something like that? He practiced in your sleep, and it's the same thing as wiring your brain to do it in quote unquote real life, which I wouldn't necessarily say dreams aren't real. I just say they're not this type of real, but yeah.
No, yeah, they're not as solid. I find there's a bit of a wishy-washiness to them. Um, so you mentioned a lot of things there. You mentioned the Pleiades, and I know you don't have many experiences with them, but did they? But from your recollection, did they have the characteristic, height kind of thing that like, and the just different humanoid shape?
No, they look very similar to Earth humans.
Hmm.
They do mostly have light blonde hair, but it's not. It's a little bit of a misnomer that they all look Nordic or Swedish. That's
Yeah.
not true.
True.
They
Yeah.
have different features, but they look very similar to us. I just say that their eyes seem to be more open and their complexions look more radiant, but who knows how much of that is the environment versus,
Special
genetics,
effects.
which they
Yeah,
come in
they
right.
have good makeup departments. No, I'm
Yeah.
joking. Well, so I forgot I was talking to somebody recently. My theory about the Pleiadians is that we're interacting with them from the future, from our future, because right now the Pleiades star system is about 100 million years old. It's not implausible that civilizations couldn't exist there, but it's very young. The stars are very young. They're very blue. It's very possible. I mean, it's still possible that things evolve there.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, if
possible.
yeah, if life is seeded somewhere with the right conditions, it doesn't matter what color the star is. Um,
Yeah.
but there is a very futuristic quality to them. They seem so much more advanced than us in terms of just, I don't know. They just, right? I mean, they just,
Well, because they cooperate. We'd be more advanced by now, in my opinion, if we reached the point where we could cooperate in general. But I mean, that's not proven
yeah.
right now. That's just
I
what
don't know why, yeah, why we struggle. I mean, we're kind of slow learners. What can I say? And by we, I don't necessarily mean you or anybody that I know, because a lot of people I
yeah,
know I feel like are come from other planets. And
yeah,
but I've been mostly an Earth person, so I have to hold my self
oh,
responsible for for
yeah.
for the conditions of this planet. Um, all right. Now, one other question I have with regards to spirit, and then we can play some of your songs. Is you got into doing? I know from just from experiences and meetings, you got into doing channeling, and once
Hmm.
again, was that something that you wanted to do, or it was something like you almost felt compelled to do, like there was a force wanting to speak through you?
I don't know if it's either. This is gonna sound a little dorky, but it feels predestined because
Hmm.
I had right when I was waking up, so to speak, I had an akashic reading, and she told me I was gonna channel the universe. And I'm thinking, channel? I don't know how to do that, right? And
Yeah.
then I just hear Una one day, and it started with her, and then it turned to others. But I mean,
Mhm.
there were so many. It's planets that wanted me to write books for them, and at one point I was just like, maybe if I have time someday, but I'm focusing on my music and the novel I'm drafting, and that's the way I can,
Right. I
you
mean,
know.
we only have so much bandwidth.
Yeah.
Um, it's funny. So the two things come to mind. One is, of course, there's Holst who wrote music about each of the planets. You almost wonder if that was sort of like a channeling of like, hey, planet, what would you like, to convey musically about yourself? More than just, okay, I see it in a telescope, and I don't know what time period his music was created, but I imagine they didn't have Voyager photographs, close-up
No,
photographs of these planets. So he must have remote viewed it, right? Or something.
maybe I the impression I got, because that is one of the composers that I played in high school. So
Wow.
the planets in particular, especially with Mars, that feels like he felt it, not necessarily that he was looking at it. It feels genuine.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way you can listen to Mars and be like, well, that person was just trying to make it sound like a planet. You know what I mean?
Well, so the stereotypical Mars would be war, right? It would be like dum ba dum ba. But if he's going for something else, then that could suggest that he's picking up the vibe of what Mars actually is.
Yeah,
Um,
that's, I think.
do you think that I've heard from people that Mars is like was like the moon of the planet that's now the asteroid belt. So it's like basically it had a past history. Do you get that sense that Mars used to
Hold on a
used to be
second.
part of another system or a part of another society or civilization?
So what I'm getting is that Mars was from another universe, I'm going to say his soul because it feels like a male planet right now, but the planet Mars is from this solar system. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, so it's incarnating into a planet. I mean, I don't know the mechanics behind that. I wonder if it's taken on by a single soul or whether it's taken on by a collection of souls. What's your sense? Do you
I,
think that they're
I definitely get the impression that it's a single soul.
wow? So what you're saying is that a single soul saw, I mean, incarnated into Mars currently, but in a previous quote unquote lifetime, it was
Yeah.
incarnated on another planet. So it's
Yeah, from a different universe. So that's why it
what
kind of
is
feels like Theremin.
of all the planets in our solar system, there are a few moons, but of all the planets in our solar system, Mars is like the only one that's even that at least we think is semi-feasible to inhabit, besides Earth.
Uh-huh.
Do you get an impression that Mars, the soul, is interested in that, or it would kind of like leave me alone?
I think he's kind of like, because there were, like, I'm not going to get into the whole backstory, but there were and possibly are Mars. I always call them Earthlings, Martians, but not the kind you see on
Right. Right.
Hollywood productions. But yeah, and then so they kind of they survived in the inner Mars because you know that there's those volcanic tubes and there's this whole inner
Hmm.
city. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I do know
Yeah.
that it did have life and I you know there's all kind of technology that can be used. You know, I don't want to say it's like Atlantis, but I think that gives people the best idea where they can literally have a force field to let whatever elements in that they need and keep whatever out. So, like if
Yeah.
scientists say this doesn't look inhabitable. This doesn't look like it's ever been inhabitable, but you know they do know that Mars did have a period of time where it seemed more inhabitable. We can't say yes or no based on that because all science can do is say we don't have evidence yet, you know,
Mhm.
conclusively that we can present or anything like that. They
Yeah.
they're not saying no, it didn't happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's two possibilities or two things that come to mind that kind of allow us to go beyond what science says is currently possible. So one is the possibility, like you said, that somehow there's a technology that can allow some sort of life forms to exist, maybe deeper in the planet, free from the elements, whatever. But you know, otherwise they have no signature that we can observe right now. The other thing, well, oh, I'm sorry. There's a third thing actually. So there's a guy that channels the gray. I'm sorry, the Zeta Reticuli specifically, not the Grays, but Zeta Reticuli, and he claims that at least one of their planets is like not very good for inhabiting. It's pretty bad. So they basically live in caves. You know, like it's not right. It's not a sunny, beautiful surface. So they live and they're fine, but it's not as beautiful as Earth. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like you just make do with terrible conditions. The third
Yeah.
thing I would bring to mind is just that we know that on this planet there are quote unquote life forms, like I call it the nature spirits, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fairies, trolls, gnomes, whatever, and they're not typically observable with cameras or whatever because they kind of exist in a slightly different dimension. Like it overlaps with our dimension, but on the other
Yeah.
hand, they don't necessarily need to be on the physical dimension. So it's possible
Yeah.
that Mars has some life forms that are just in a slightly, we'll call it outside of the physical dimension, but they still use Mars
Yeah,
as
that's
like a
also
foundation.
possible.
Yeah.
The thing is, we can't say
Yeah.
what's beautiful to another civilization because
I just insulted the entire.
supposing we had a pink sky and yellow grass, we'd go, oh, thank goodness, it's such a pink
Well,
day.
well, no, but Zeta Reticuli, they will say that they steal animals from our planet because they love the animals here. So it, they may yeah, they may not want a sunny day, but it sounds to me like they enjoy some of the diversity that's on our planet,
Yeah.
and they hate seeing how humans, yeah, just don't seem to appreciate what they've got.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not. I know I just insulted the entire civilization of Zeta Reticuli. I plan to be abducted
I
someday.
would pick on
All right. So hey, we're at the quarter to the hour. So let's play some of the music. I do you want to? Okay, so let's see here. So I have the four pieces. I can play any one of them that you would like. We're going to try to play it. If you want to preface,
Yeah.
what you want to share, like
Yeah.
yeah.
So, my album Delta just came out today, literally intentionally 8-8, Lionsgate portal. So the Delta symbol, for those who don't know, it's a Greek symbol. It means change, and it's literally something in math, but it's also symbolic. That's why I took it and I evolved it into meaning transformation. That's why I based this whole album on that concept. And so I guess, yeah, we can share a couple clips from the album. And I picked out a few of the songs. I think we should start with Supernova. And I think it's best just to let people hear it and then they'll know.
Yeah, so prepare your ears. Now my microphone's gonna go off, and hopefully you can just like say, "Hey, I hear it," and we'll
Okay.
go from there. Okay. Oh, you know what? It's not allowing me to change. Oh, guess
Oh.
what? We can't do it. It's not allowing me to change
Oh.
the audio after the recording started. Okay, let's give a flavor though, of what to expect.
Yeah.
How would you describe the music on this album? I mean, in terms
Yeah.
of either other artists or keywords or whatever.
It's it's neo uh space rock, and space rock is something from the 60s, I believe, where Pink Floyd and all them, it's like what we'd call retrofuturistic now, only mine's not retrofuturistic. It's like cosmic and futuristic, but it has a strong rock base. Not every song is rock. There's one that's pop. A lot of it's pop rock. The eighth song, "Can You Hear Me," is a very strong. It's like goth rock with. It's almost metal. I wouldn't necessarily call it that, but it has a lot more edge than what I typically put out, and it's all of it is ambient. But I wouldn't necessarily say this is an ambient album because ambient music is meant to relax. This is meant to wake you up. So it's very textural and atmospheric.
That's a very interesting distinction. It's meant to wake you up. I would listen at night when I was a kid to, what do they call it? Heart of Space, like that show that would, it was it sounded like alien music. This was like on NPR or whatever, and but it was like relaxing. It's
Yeah.
chill. And I noticed that, yeah, with several of your songs, the lyrics, you know, when I wrote music, I didn't. The lyrics were just like the last thing I had to put on. It's like mayonnaise on the sandwich. Because it wasn't something like lyrics didn't mean much to me back when I was doing this about 15 years ago. Um, for you, I feel like, yeah, I mean, when you put these lyrics out there, you're not just saying, here's a concept. You're kind of like saying, this is what I'm feeling right now, or what I'm feeling strongly about.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it felt very raw to me. I mean,
Oh,
and
it was. So I'm
yeah, I
glad
mean,
you got that
well,
impression.
it's funny because, when someone, let's say you had a songwriter, and then some famous celebrity sings that song. It's
Yeah.
like there's no authenticity, right? It's like they're
Hmm.
saying, whereas like when you're singing it, it's like you mean what you say, and so I really appreciated
Yeah.
that, because yeah, I mean, it's
Thank
something
you.
that I generally, even when I wrote music where the lyrics had some intention to it, it was almost like fake personal.
Oh.
It was like I wasn't like putting out my heart there. I was just kind of like
Uh-huh.
talking in tropisms, and I don't even know if that's a word, and
Hmm.
tropes. So so I think that's something people consider is listen to the words, listen to what you're trying to say. Um, uh, it's definitely different. It's the kind of music I listen to is like a tapestry of chords and melodies.
Hmm.
Um, something that um, it that to me is what, for the longest time, I didn't hear lyrics, so that was what would
Hmm.
attract me. Like if I had listened to a song years ago which had really touching lyrics, but the music wasn't that interesting to me, I would have skipped over the song.
Hmm.
And only now I go back and listen to the words that people were saying, and I'm like, oh, this is what
Yeah.
this is about. So I think that's the key that I found with your music, is that there's things that you're trying to share with people, and and it's not just, oh, here's another love song, or here's another rock song, or
No. No, like you probably picked up, it's primarily philosophical.
right.
It's like if you listen to it, you're viewing it through my lens, but please make it your own interpretation. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
want everybody to experience it in their own way, but for me, the words were meant to wake people up just as much, if not more, than the actual music, and I tried to make every melody fit what I was trying to convey in that song. And it's a journey. Like if somebody wants to watch it in order, that would be great. I mean, listen to it, because I made sure every song, the way it would end, would pick up on like the next chapter with the next one. So it's like telling a story, even though it's not like folk music or anything like that.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's definitely not folk music. But yeah.
Unless the folk is from Zeta Reticuli. No, I'm joking.
Well, I wouldn't pick that particular
Oh, which
constellation, but
what's your favorite civilization that you might associate with? In
I
both
don't know if I want to
culturally.
say favorite, but I would just say I relate to the Pleiadians quite a bit, and of course the Lyrans. But yeah, I wouldn't want to say they're my absolute favorite because I don't want to play favorites here.
Yeah, a medium once told me that I was a Syrian, which kind of makes sense because I am serious a lot of the times, but I also am funny. So,
No,
but no, but
actually, Syrians love knowledge, and I could, yeah, that definitely makes sense to me why
right,
they
right,
would
right. No,
gravitate toward that.
they're scientists. I think. I mean, at
Yeah.
least according to the description, some of the descriptions I've read, they're more like the nerds, the nerds
Well,
of
I
that.
wouldn't say they all are. Like Sirius B is like that's
No,
a
they're not
party
serious,
planet.
but they like technology. They like
No,
science.
no, I'm saying the people from Sirius B are not as
Oh,
science minded.
oh, they're
All of
not. Oh,
them.
okay. What are
Some
they
of them
into?
are. Yes, some of them are. But
Okay.
Sirius A and my understanding is that they're mostly scientists, and I don't know if I'm going to hear from one day telling me no, that's not true. But Sirius B, some of them are a lot more lighthearted, if that's the right way to put it. But I mean, yeah, there are scientists on Sirius B too, but it's a little bit of a lighter feel than you would expect from scientists on Earth, if that makes sense.
Real quick. Um, Do we does our scientists know if Sirius actually has planets?
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what. So when you said Sirius A and B, do you mean two different stars, like it's a double star, or there's actually?
Yeah, yeah, the star systems, but I don't know if
Oh, okay, I
scientists
didn't know
know
about that.
that, but I'm pretty sure that there's a water world in Sirius B. Like when people talk about Sirius B, they're talking about the water world, which is also AKA the party planet in some circles, but
Kind of
it
like where
doesn't
I
mean
went
that
to college.
they don't improve themselves, but you know.
That is so funny. I almost wish that we were the party planet. We are neither the party planet nor are we the mature planet. Somehow we managed to do like the worst of both worlds, right? Um,
Yeah, well, that's where we are right now, but well, part of my reason for writing this album is to wake people up, so I'm hoping that it catches on mostly because I want people to wake up, and that's one of my ways of doing it. And yeah, I think if you listen to it multiple times, you'll start to hear like the subtext that you might not be getting right away. But yeah.
yeah. What I'm gonna do, yeah, since this is a new channel feed, well, I'll make sure I get that. I'll go back and edit the description, add in, I'll add in the Spotify link. Is that enough, or would you like to add in?
I don't know. Does everybody do Spotify or do they want
Um,
YouTube,
you know,
Apple? Like, I have no
I
idea.
don't, but I just clicked in and I was able to get through. I mean, I just made a
Spotify is
login.
the easiest one to add.
Yeah, when I was making my music years ago, I actually just opted to not even use a distributor. I was so frustrated with like how much money they skim off the top. Like it's like 30% or
Yeah.
some insane thing. And like Amazon then takes
I
another
don't know.
30%. And I was just like, I can't deal with this. So
Yeah.
I put everything on Bandcamp, and to this day it's still on there and anybody can freely
Yeah.
listen. So I definitely recommend Bandcamp as another possibility. Make sure you put in the keywords. There's a few other sites. I don't know if they're still active, like Jamendo. If you want to give away things for free, they'll
Well,
happily take it. Um, it's hard. It is very very difficult to get ears on music. In fact, music videos were invented to get people's ears on music. It's kind of silly, but that's they were using it. They would use basically the medium of TV to promote music. It was like the only way they could
yeah.
get people to start listening to certain bands was to promote it on as a video on TV. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a hard road because um, there's the channels that put out music. There's they decide what they want to put out, and it's all pre-programmed garbage.
Yeah.
So it's hard for the little people like us to get exposed out there. Um, what you could do? I just came up with a funny idea.
Oh, what?
You could put a lottery code in one of or a crypto code in one of the songs. So if they listen through all the songs, they hear the crypto code and get enough. I say that jokingly, but it's like going through a cereal box to get the prize. I say that jokingly.
Yeah,
No,
I don't know, but everything I've done is very futuristic, so I'm just hoping people take a chance on it. And you can't know what it is if you don't try to hear
if
it
you don't
first.
experience it, yeah. And I
Yeah.
feel kind of silly here that I thought I was going to be able to set this up, and then like everything is grayed out, and then of course my mixer didn't work. Had my mixer worked, I would have been talking through my mixer, and then when I hit the play, it would have played through that same result. But and I'm afraid that if I tried to like play the music now or something, it would probably, you know how like it blocks everything. The
Yeah,
odds
well,
would pass through. It probably come through all distorted. So it's a treat for those who click on the link in the description. Also, do you is there any social? Well, you can mention it, and then we can put in a description any social medias if they want to join your fan
yeah,
club.
my YouTube channel. I'm hopefully
Yes.
gonna be doing music
Well,
videos. Not Hollywood, but Good enough, right? And I have some covers on there right now. It's Fallon Taylor dash Space Rocker, and I have a Facebook page, Fallon Taylor, writer and musician, and then Instagram, Fallon Taylor 333. I'm also on LinkedIn, but that's
Okay.
for a different purpose.
So we'll post all the links in the description. Also, when you click on the subscribe button, this will be a collaboration between my channel and your channel, so you can subscribe to her channel. And yeah, I look forward to videos. These days, I guess it's up to you, but like with AI, it's kind of like you're writing the music, which, by the way, I want to commend you that, in the year 2026, people are now making music with AI, which is almost like super simple and just like
I
one click.
know.
But the actual work of writing music, performing it, producing it is a huge climb.
Yeah.
And I challenge anybody. Oh, yeah. This is where I was just gonna. I'll just briefly mention that when before I started making music, this one guy put out an album. He said, "I made this all by myself." So I listened to it, and it was just total crap. And I was thinking, "Hey, I can make a much better album by myself." And of course I did, but it didn't matter because I was misled. I then found out there was this one site where people share their music. There's 1 million bands. I am not kidding you. It's 1 million. So here's the way to look at it. There's a lot of independent musicians out there, but the flip side is only a small percentage of the population, let's about 1% or less, actually sit down, write music, produce it, and put it out there. So we're a very small world. I mean, I would say it's less than a percent that actually produce it because people,
Whoa.
some people, if they have money, they record it in a studio. The person does the production for them. They spend a few $1,000s. But we do it all we're literally like baking the food by hand. Um, and it may not have the same like production quality, but you have to kind of get past that because production is kind of like the soup, or it's kind of like the thing that makes anything sound good, but it doesn't, but it may not
Yeah.
be anything there, right? So you have to consider the content. So yeah, I commend you on putting together an album.
Thank
Real
you.
quick, which DAW did you use? Did you use a D?
So, fun fact, I'm not super tech savvy.
Mhm.
I did Audacity. I'm switching. I'm learning the Reaper, and I actually have a microphone now. But
Awesome.
I did what I could,
Mhm.
you know. But I think it's so atmospheric and
Mhm.
textural that you can't really tell one way or the other. And
Right.
then I should probably tell people that some of the songs are quite explosive,
Mhm.
especially Supernova. So
Mhm.
do not listen to that before bed. Maybe right when you get up. Yeah, that would make a fun alarm. Explode.
There you go. You could market your music as home assistant wake up alarms. I'm
That would
joking.
definitely get people up. Because I literally say I'm gonna explode like a supernova. And fun fact,
Yeah, okay.
I wrote that song for an honors college project years ago.
Wow.
I don't think the person ever listened to it, but
Yeah.
uh, I was literally at my wits' end with that class in that college because, let's just say, in a nice way, some of the people taking the astronomy class maybe would have done a little better with another elective. I'm glad they tried to learn it, but in the time I was in the classroom,
Yeah.
it was basically a frustrated professor and
Yeah.
a bunch of students who were trying, and I'm sure they got something out of it, but they were
Mhm.
not physics students, and
Yeah.
that's not any fault of theirs. That's just how it was, and uh, it was kind of like being in a certain, I don't know how to describe it other than you're not fitting with the rest of the students in your academic level. And it gets to be really frustrating when the class can't go at the pace you want. And so I literally go, oh, like, pressure on the head, you feel like you're going to explode. And it turned into that because we were studying stars and black holes and supernovae. Might as well have been on there. And
So would you say a supernova is a frustrated star?
yeah, maybe no, maybe it's one that just needs to graduate the class it's in.
Right, right. Just get out of there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So, okay. All right. Well, I think we've covered everything. Do you have any last minute advice words to the audience? Anybody that's listened this far in?
Um, Advice you mean about listening to my album or music
Or
in general?
life or, or becoming a songwriter?
I would say don't overthink it, honestly. And I taught myself all instruments on the album. Well, not completely. John Lennon from the other realm stepped in to teach me guitar. But yeah, if you want to learn, maybe there's somebody in some other planet, some other dimension who will teach you. I know Hathor's been there for me, and she helped me hone my voice better than a lot of people would as far as coaches go. Maybe learn online. There's all kind of online things now. You don't necessarily have to go in person. Please support your local music stores. They get things that are very specific. Amazon is good. I've gotten stuff from them, but places, this is not an Amazon put down. I'm just trying to say people in that kind of a range,
Mhm.
you're gonna get a lot of good quality products, but you may not get the expertise that comes with, oh, this sounds better for what you're looking at, and letting you experiment with something. You could literally walk into one and be like, I want to learn something. What do you think I should try? And then before you know it, you've walked out with a $150 instrument. And
Mhm.
I know for me that music's helped me through a whole lot, and it will continue to. And please support independent artists in general. They're doing a lot of things themselves. They have to learn everything, and people have to pay. Like Michael mentioned, you have to pay distributor fees and all this other kind of stuff, which is it's necessary if you want to get it on certain platforms, but it's also it's not great for the budget. I'll put it that way. It's not like you're broke, but it's not great for the budget. And give people a chance. Like don't be like, unless something really sets you off. Like take longer than 3 or 5 seconds. But I would just say, listen to whatever's working for you, and not necessarily, oh, my friend says I should listen to this. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
other than that, I would say there's people who fine tune things. Like there's people who do 4-3-2. I do 4-4-4 because that's how my voice naturally is when I sing. You can experiment with that. If you pick up a tuner, it shows you out of tune. Hum out loud, see if the sound of the instrument's matching where you are. Because if it's not a long way off, like unless you're completely on the other edge of the note, you might have figured out that you came here with a uniquely coded uh, angel number hertz voice. So
Mhm.
I would just say, go for it. Like pretend nobody's watching, pretend nobody cares, and just go and create something, even if it's not music.
Yeah. I was gonna make one comment. I cannot remember from everything you said. Um, okay, well, we'll end there, and I encourage you to subscribe to both of our channels to find out more, to see where things head. Me with my spirit adventures, Fallon with her music, and thank you very much for watching today, and thank you, Fallon, for.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's a heart. It's like that. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. There you go. Okay. Good night.